It should come as no surprise to anyone that Donald Trump has been highly critical of any media organization that has not been sufficiently loyal to him. And now he's even doubling down on removing CBS's license. But if you end up getting anything out of this video, please remember to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I would very much appreciate your support. Now, Donald Trump recently sat down and did an interview with Howard Kurtz on Fox News, and one of the main things Howard Kurtz brought up was Donald Trump's recent comments about revoking CBS's license because of the way that they edited Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview. Now, aside from this being an absolutely authoritarian thing to say, we should remember that 60 Minutes only provided a different portion of the answer in 2 separate clips. There's never been any evidence to suggest that they deceptively edited these clips to make Kamala Harris look better, and there certainly hasn't been any evidence to suggest that the Kamala Harris campaign directed them to make these edits. These types of shows have to cut things down to fit in certain time slots, so it's no surprise that you might get edits that look a little bit different from one another. So let's go ahead and look at what Trump had to say about revoking CBS's license based on this perceived deceptive edit that Donald Trump has constructed in his head.
You've spoken out about the unethical editing of the Kamala Harris interview by 60 Minutes.
Terrible.
But you go a step further and you say CBS should lose its license. Why?
Sure. Well, I've never seen anything like it. She gave a horrible, incompetent answer on a news program. It's not an entertainment program. They call it news. They say it's a #1 news program. And so she gives an answer that shows that she's dumb or incompetent or something wrong with her. It's so bad that the people at CBS say, we're not going to do a little editing, like the word "the," make it there, something. You understand? They take the whole ridiculous answer out, and it was a long answer, and replace it with a much shorter answer that she did having to do with a totally different subject, which also didn't make sense, but it wasn't as incompetent.
So Donald Trump is just lying to you. The question was pertaining to the relationship with Israel and how Benjamin Netanyahu has been acting. And they weren't able to show the whole answer in one of their edits, so they took a portion of that answer and edited it in to answer the question. This doesn't mean it was a deceptive edit. The question that was being asked and the answer that was being given were to the same thing. So Donald Trump is just lying to you. And to think that Donald Trump has never done an interview that has been edited down for time's sake is just ludicrous. So Donald Trump making up this whole scandal is insane, and it is authoritarian. And to even threaten that he would revoke the license of a news broadcaster is insane. This is not normal stuff. These are not the types of things that our president should be involving themselves in, especially when you are championing yourself as the free speech candidate. There is nothing free speech about this. News agencies have editorial control over the content that they publish, and that is that. That is how the news works. But let's go ahead and listen a little bit further when Howard Kurtz brings up the fact that the FCC has come out and pretty much derided Trump for these comments and say that they would never do something like that. Let's go ahead and take a look.
But the head of the FCC says we would never yank a license because a politician didn't like his or her coverage.
Well, this isn't a politician. This is nothing. Wait a minute. She gave an answer. They took the answer.
I said I've been critical of it.
Listen to this. They took, just for your audience, you know about it.
All right.
They took the answer out in its entirety, and they put a completely different answer in.
That is not what happened. Trump is lying to you.
That makes her look like she's normal, okay, which is about the best you're going to do. And I said, I think it's the worst thing she's done. Now, what we're doing is we're going to subpoena their records because we want to see how much else did she do. And I can tell you, I've done 60 Minutes many times, and they do with me different. They take sentences out. In other words, I'm more honored by that. But I'll have a paragraph that is a great paragraph, and they'll make it less good by just taking things out. But that's different. That you can sort of say they want to make the program shorter. You know, they always say, well, we want to shorten it up. They take a great paragraph and, you know, they make it okay. But with her, I never knew anyone would do this. They took the whole thing out and they put a whole new thing in. I've never seen anything. I think it's the biggest scandal I've ever seen for a broadcaster. In 60 Minutes, no, I think 60 Minutes, I think it should be taken off the air, frankly.
You posted this.
And by the way, 60 Minutes, they also, when I had an argument with Leslie Stone, now very famous, about the laptop, she said it was Russia, but I never got an apology.
Imagine what Donald Trump is saying here. He wants to subpoena CBS because of the way he doesn't like that they edited Kamala Harris's interview. And then he is going on to say, well, they've edited my interviews too, but that's okay. Donald Trump never holds himself to the same standards that he holds others to. If Donald Trump can benefit in some way from an edited interview, then go ahead and edit the interview. But if anybody else does that, we need to subpoena them. We need to take them off the air. We need to revoke their license. Donald Trump is a pathetic man-child, and these authoritarian tendencies should not be overlooked. We already know he tried to do a whole bunch of authoritarian-type things when he was in office the first time. And his second term is going to be much, much worse because he is going to surround himself with Trump sycophants. This should concern each and every one of us. The free press is important in a democracy, and the press isn't free if it is only able to give praise on the dear leader, like Trump would want. Absolutely insane. He goes on to say that even Kamala Harris should be investigated.
You posted the following. Kamala should be investigated and forced off the campaign, and Joe Biden allowed to take back his rightful place. Investigated for what?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. Are you talking about 60 Minutes?
No, these are your words, so
Well,
I'm
no,
asking you.
let me tell you. They should look into it. Investigate. I'm investigated all the time. I'm the most investigated human being in history. They should.
Donald Trump is investigated because he breaks all of our rules, all of our laws. That is why Donald Trump is investigated. We have never had a president that has so brazenly skirted all of our laws. That is why Donald Trump is investigated. And to try to say that because they investigated me, I should be able to investigate them is ludicrous. This is not okay, and it is not normal.
Should investigate her. Look, on 60 Minutes, they say it was her campaign that forced them to do that. So certainly that should be investigated.
It sounds like you missed Joe Biden.
No, I think Joe Biden was. I'm not a fan of Joe Biden, and I think he might have done better than her. I mean, if you take a look at the polls now, I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but it looks like I'm winning and winning pretty easily. But we'll see. You have to get out the vote. But no, I think what they did to Joe Biden was a threat to democracy, you know, to use their term.
It is insane that we have a presidential candidate that is threatening to investigate his opponent because he doesn't like the way CBS News edited an interview. This is batshit crazy, guys. This is not normal, and it is not okay. We are not ruled by dictators and kings here in the United States. We have a democracy. If CBS wants to edit an interview to shorten it down for time, like all other news organizations do, they have the First Amendment protections to do that, right? Now, if the public wants to come out and say that they deceptively edited things, then they can make a judgment not to watch CBS News. That is the way things should play out. We don't have leaders going around just pulling licenses from news organizations that they feel have wronged them. That is not okay. And like I said, Donald Trump knows he's been in interviews that have been edited down for time. Even this very interview that we are watching right now was edited. See if you guys can pick this up. Right here in the beginning, we have a little edit.
They came down to protest a rigged election. Very simple. They protested an election. And you know what? I think you have the right to protest in this country.
Did you guys see it? I will rewind it once more.
They came down to protest a rigged election. Very simple.
Right there.
They protested an election.
So even the very interview that he is sitting for right now had to edit out some of Trump's words because let's not forget, they had to pay $787 million for pushing Donald Trump's lie about the 2020 election. And so they cut off some of his words so they didn't put themselves into legal jeopardy. I would venture to say that what Fox News did just then, by cutting Trump's words out, is more detrimental to our society than what 60 Minutes did. This is just absolutely insane stuff, and it should not be tolerated. If Kamala Harris was on the other side of the ticket doing and saying these things towards Trump, I would be making the same criticisms. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, this stuff should be concerning. We do not want leaders or presidents or wannabe dictators going around and wreaking havoc on our news landscape because they somehow feel wronged by a particular news agency. Donald Trump can suck it up just like the rest of us. He needs to stop crafting these conspiracies in his head, stop playing the biggest snowflake and the biggest victim of all of the world, and move on about his day. Because nothing 60 Minutes did was deceptive. If you want to go watch the whole interview, you can still do that. So, I thought it was important to point this stuff out. This stuff is not normal in a democracy, guys, and we have to remember these things before we go vote in November. I'll leave it there. If you guys got anything out of this video, please remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. Like I said, I'm trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I would very much appreciate your support. If you want to see Donald Trump's train wreck of an interview about tariffs during the Economic Club of Chicago sit down, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.